Hello, and welcome back. My name's Retroid Prime, and this video is part 2 on an ongoing series that I'm working on where I'm going to be remastering Chibi-Robo. On today's video, I'd like to be looking at Chibi-Robo's character model, and I'm going to see if I can try to remaster it, essentially. So we're going to be working a lot today in Blender. As you can see on screen right now, I've imported his character model into Blender itself, and you could see all these bones that are displayed here right now, and a lot of it, this is not accurate. Like, this is not what it's supposed to look like. This is one of the issues I ran into when I imported it from, so I exported the model from Unreal and then I brought it into Blender, and this is what it looks like. Now, for the purpose of this video, well, for the purpose of me, what I'm going to be doing with Chibi-Robo's character in this video, this doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to go ahead and hide it. Because I'm not planning to actually really change anything with the bones itself. I'm going to be looking at the mesh itself. So like, as you can see right now, you can see this is the original GameCube model for Chibi-Robo. And you can kind of, like, if you're looking where the mouse pointer is, like, you can see, like, there's all of these, like, lines, and it's a little jagged. This is more or less kind of like what it looks like. So now if I go to wireframe mode, you could definitely see a lot of those edges. Like, it's got really strong edges. So what I want to try to do is, for this video, is I want to try to see if I could round this out a lot more. See if I can make it look, or increase the quality, the resolution of it. So we're going to be doing maybe a lot of, like, subdividing. I might want to remake some of these joints. We're going to redo faces. And then I think I want to start with this crowning right first. So I really like how it's coming along right now. And right now I'm just going to be adding a bevel to the top portion, and then I'm going to also want to add one maybe to the bottom portion as well of his crown. I really like using the bevel for the edges because I don't like necessarily having a sharp edge. I like that it's a little rounded. Yeah, I feel like it makes the model look a lot better, a lot cleaner. I think right now I'm just gonna maybe do a time lapse here. Because I want to just try to get through as much as I can. So I'm going to be working on the face, I'm going to go to the eyes, and I'm going to work my way down his body, trying to do each portion. Hello, and right now I think I want to start working on his arms. So I'm going to be working at rounding them out on one side. And then I think for the other side, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to be using the symmetry tool in Blender. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and delete all the vertices on his other arm so that all of the edits and changes I make on this arm that I'm going to be working on in the video, I'll just apply that to the other side. And then that's what I decided or ended up doing while I was working on it. But then that led into other problems later down the road. problems with like vertex groups and the animations not working properly once I had loaded this model back in to blend or into Unreal Engine later. That was certainly fun to deal with. It's funny, like working on this, like nothing I'm doing here is quick by any means. Like I'm gonna be using a lot of these time lapses because like I ended up spending like maybe 5 or 6 hours on one day, like just working through this. And I know like it's what's interesting about it is like when you first start working on it and you're working on like the first hour and the second hour is it's a lot slower and you're doing I guess maybe I would say amateur mistakes or not even mistakes, but it's like, it's like you don't know the shortcut keys, right? So it's like you don't know like, oh, if I hold control and press a certain key that it does this or it does that. And then as I start watching different tutorials online, it's like, okay, how do I do this in Blender? How do I do that in Blender? I start to learn these keys. So it's funny because it's like the first hour or two, like I'm just like making, or I'm just not going as fast as I could. And then towards the end is like, man, I feel like I'm starting to get a hang of this. There's even a portion of this where I decided to just go back and like redo. So it's like even in some of the time lapse that you're watching here, like when I'm doing some of his elbow joints as an example, or his like pelvis, or maybe even his neck, I decide to just go back and like redo it completely, because it's like when I went through it the first time, it's like I spent a lot of work just trying to make it look nicer and to do this, to do that. And then I decided, I was like, once I watched a couple different tutorials, I was like, oh, well, maybe I could make it look a little nicer. Like instead of trying to like just move around the vertices that I already had there, it's like, well, what if I just add a sphere and then, try to adjust the sphere to look more rounded? Because it just looks a lot more uniform when I did it that way. And you're going to definitely see that once I start going more into that later. We ended up having to like a lot of back and forth testing from like Blender to Unreal Engine to Blender. And I feel like there's whole tutorials you have to watch, I feel like, on that, because I feel like Unreal Engine and Blender don't necessarily play the nicest together, I think. And part of that is like how Blender works, like with like if you're trying to rig something in Blender and how you orient the bones versus how Unreal naturally would have it oriented as. So like that's part of their differences between the two. And then I noticed I felt like I was making different mistakes when I was changing the original model. Like originally when I was using the symmetry tool, I thought maybe I could just, just use it and it would just work. But then, that led into the issues with like the vertex groups. It was funny too, like watching the animations in Unreal when you would import it later. It's like it was completely messed up after that. So then, I had to go back to Blender and then, doing some research. I was like, okay, so like I assigned new vertex groups to these new vertices that I've created, and then once you had them properly mapped to the bones, Blender would automatically be like, okay, so this group goes to this bone, and once you had that compatible, then I was able to re-import it into Unreal. But it didn't quite exactly work just like right off the back. There was definitely like different compatibility issues, I would say. So even when I got it into Unreal Engine, I still had to change different things in Unreal to try to make it work better. That's why you can see in this video, you can just see me like when I re-import the model into Blender or into Unreal, and then I'm just trying to run it through different animations to see like, okay, does this animation look like it's working? Do all the bones look like they're functioning properly? And now finally on screen, you can see the comparison I have between the old version and the new version. As you can see on the left side, now that I've engaged just the wireframe view of it, you can see on the left side how it looks. It looks a lot more like triangular, a little bit more messy. Then on the right side, I kind of just have everything more rounded out now. I'm pretty happy with how it looks now at this point. You know, I spent quite a bit of time working on this one, and I know like if I was gonna work on like another model, again, I know it's gonna take me less time. Because I felt like I had learned a lot, and I had to watch couple different tutorials to at least like get it to this point. And I also had fixed the skeleton in Unreal, so it's like now I've got this model it loaded into Unreal. It's working great. Yeah, one of the issues I had ran into as well was like also the shading. You know, so it's like the shading just wasn't looking proper, but then I was able to correct that using like an auto smooth in Blender when it came to just the actual shading. Like you can see though, like now I think it looks pretty good, as you can see on screen. Like you can see like around the eyes, the neck. I like how the shoulders look now as well, like just how rounded it is. It's almost like an egg. And then you got like the back portion as well. You know, when I was looking at it, I don't know like how deep I wanted the deep bevel to go. So I just kind of kept it a little thinner. So it can still kind of look more or less like that machined metal look and not just too rounded. But I definitely like it. Definitely looks a lot cleaner to me. And yeah, I hope you guys would agree too. Now let's go ahead and just look at him in Unreal now, just for the new model. See, so now at this portion, I kind of just want to look at the actual texture that is comprised of him, like because he's got this metal, not exactly like chromy, like aluminum, like finish or look to it. And I definitely want to start messing around. I'm using a material instance for this, so I'm just going to start tweaking it around to see kind of like how do I actually want him to look, like how reflective or how metallic do I want him to be. And that's what I'm just going to be testing now. Now let's just go ahead and change the material instance. We're going to be adjusting like the tint for it, and then just a couple other values related to just the metallics and the roughness of it. You can definitely see here like the reflections from the tiling. You can see a lot of shades of green. You can see parts of the carpet, of the like rug reflecting onto his head. And then at this point, I'm also kind of just messing around with just different shading modes for it. See, now let's just go live. What's that? Yeah, and then this preview view for when I'm controlling Chibi-Robo, it's not going to look exactly perfect. Because it's just a preview render that's happening in real time. It's not necessarily what it would look like. Also, I'm also running it from like a laptop, so like I'm not necessarily using like a desktop that's got like the best processing power, and then running it in an actual like I'm just running it through the editor right now. I'm starting to really look like I like how it looks like right now. Oh, I think one of the things I need to fix is the feet. His feet are like just slightly above the floor that he's like standing on. So let's just go ahead and push him a little down. And then I know I gotta work on the plug, and that's what I'm gonna be working on next. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna try to smooth out more of his animations from when he starts walking to running. I think I definitely need to do that. I think the plug looks a lot better, or it functions a lot better now, but I don't think I'm necessarily quite as happy with where it should be. I think it could be a lot better than what it is currently, and I know I'm probably going to have to revisit this again. I think for the first pass of doing the plug, or the first major pass of doing it, I think it looks pretty nice. I like how it kind of trails along behind him, although I think I need to make it a little less springy. It definitely trails, I think, a little, well, quite a bit far back than what it should. But you know, the physics of it looks kind of interesting. So I feel like there's multiple different ways I could go about doing this plug. I feel like you could try to do what I'm doing now, which is like you're using a cable actor in Unreal Engine and you're using a physics constraint for it. I think that's one way I can try to do it, but I'm not entirely sure what the best settings are for doing that. Now, the other way you can try to do it, I think, would be like if you had added in bones into your skeleton, and then you essentially like would add in like it would functionally be like a tail. So it's like you'd have to add in a whole bunch of different bones, give physics to that bone, and then you would texture it so then it would appear to be like the plastic cable portion, and then at the end of it you'd put a socket and then you could attach the plug to that socket. So I'm thinking that's another way I could try to do that. But I don't, and it might work better than the way I'm trying to do now with the cable actor. I'm just gonna have to probably spend more time just testing that and trying to figure that out. Now there is one last thing I wanted to do before I had ended this video, and that was to address the floor. So then I saw notice in the previous video there was a comment made by Sugarplum. Could you make the floor slightly less reflective? It feels too perfect. I completely agree with that. So I did try to change the reflectiveness, but then I also decided to start looking into the actual texture I have for the tile and to see if I could add maybe additional details like a bump map and change maybe how the reflections worked on the surface of the floor. So now if you can see, let me see if I can just go slowly. So it's like you can kind of see here where it's like the light, the way it just like scatters over the surface is a lot different from before. Before I felt like it almost felt kind of like glass, like an opaque glass where it was just very reflective in that way. And now it kind of just like it spreads through as you're moving the camera. Like you can see how the light kind of just bounces off of it. And then the reflections are a lot less strong, I would say. So like you can kind of see just like as you're moving, you can see how it happens. Let's see. Yeah, it almost feels like it's 3D, like it's coming out, like it's popping off of the floor almost. Like that's how the light is bouncing off of it. Yeah, I kind of like it a little bit better now compared to previously. I think it's interesting overall. Kind of like how it has that spotty look as well. Like it's not quite exactly clean almost. Like that's what it kind of feels like when you start looking deeper like into that. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please, if you like this video, please leave a like, comment down below, please subscribe. I definitely want to keep making more videos like this. I'm having a lot of fun working on this project, and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot, but like you run into a problem and then you try to look up and see and figure out like how to fix or solve this problem. And then, it's like I feel like the more videos I watch, the more I see where it's like, okay, I could do this better actually. And then it kind of makes me want to revisit something I've already done before and kind of rework on it. And I feel like I could do this endlessly. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.